moving over to a different part of our set is because you need to have the full effect of Mr. Nick Adkins. Nick, welcome to the interview.
Hey, thank you. It's good to be here.
So Nick, we're going to start with you telling us a little bit about your company and why you're here at Exponential Medicine.
Awesome. My company is REELDx. We've created an API, an open API called MedVideo. MedVideo handles the creation and storing and sharing of asynchronous video files. So asynchronous is store and forward telemedicine, if you will.
Okay.
All kinds of use cases that are being used with our API. We launched the API in April of this year at HIMSS, and we currently have over 150 companies deploying our API behind their app. All kinds of use cases, from discharge instructions to clinical trials. It's quite fascinating, so happy to be here.
That's terrific. Well,
Yeah.
We're happy to have you here too. So before we get to the ensemble and the pink socks, I wanted to ask you,
Okay.
based on that first response, you're talking about open API, you're talking about HIMSS conference, you're here now. Do you think that we're in the midst of a medical renaissance?
Absolutely, no doubt about it. The shift that's occurring in healthcare right now, it's palpable, right? I mean, from consumers driving technology adoption. I mean, the old school way of thinking is that facilities, hospitals, that we're driving the use of adoption and technology. That's not the case anymore. The case now is that consumers are driving the bus here, and whether it's wearables, whether it's mobile health devices on your phone using an app, whether it's great products like Doctor on Demand or American Well or MD Live or any of the other telemedicine services that you can use. I mean, some of the innovators here, I mean, I love all of them. I mean, I have a couple of favorites that I like to talk about probably, but the access that people have, capability to contact their provider and communicate with their provider in their pocket. Our phones are so smart, right? The smartphones. Right. There's so much we do on our phone right now that healthcare, it's right there. It's not something that's beyond our grasp. It's here. We don't have to buy a robot. We use our phone, and there it is.
Right.
Yep.
Right. So Nick, as an entrepreneur and an innovator yourself, what areas of the healthcare industry do you really see need to be disrupted so the transformation continues to occur?
Yeah, I think what's happening that we're seeing right now is a lot of the shift in reimbursement on things that are reimbursable, how they're reimbursed. My area that I really try to focus on with our company is telemedicine, right? Mm-hmm. And so, telemedicine's really been around for a long time. The use of video has even been around for a while too, but the adoption of it is really caught on because providers are reimbursed for seeing you, right? And so let's think about what's happened with the Affordable Care Act, right? The Affordable Care Act has brought in 30 million more people into the system who weren't touching the system. And there was already a shortage of providers. What happens when 30 million people want to come in and trip the system? There's no way to handle all that. So video and virtual visits become the way to manage and scale that additional population.
Right.
I mean, and the awesome thing about telemedicine is, if you wake up and you're sick and you're like, oh, I'm going to have to go to the doctor. I'm going to have to drive in and, sit in traffic and stay in the lobby with a bunch of other sick people and wait for the doctor. Or I could stay at home in bed in my jammy pants. Yeah. I can get my computer or my phone and sit there and have a session with a doctor, and I never even have to leave the house.
Right.
Yes, please. Yeah, right. I mean, so.
Absolutely. Okay, so another question for you. In the next 3 to 5 years, what will be the most significant innovation to change the way healthcare is delivered? And you've probably already kind of touched on this.
Yeah.
Where do you see that we're going to continue to evolve?
Yeah, I think the adoption of more people using virtual care, choosing virtual care, just for the convenience of it. I mean, it's convenient for everyone. It's convenient for the patient, it's convenient for the doctor, it's convenient for the family, everyone that touches this. So I think we're going to see more and more people becoming aware of what's available. I mean, that's really quite the fantastic thing. I mean, we come to these conferences and sometimes we live in a digital bubble, if we will.
Right.
And you and I know all the cool innovation stuff, and we get out and we start talking to friends who aren't in our space, and they haven't even heard of some of these things. And it's almost like when you talk to someone about a really cool product, like maybe let's say a Doctor on Demand, mm-hmm. They're not even aware that that's available. Right. And sometimes you talk, and I mean, looking around in this room, this lab, I mean, there's so much cool stuff. I mean, you and I, it's cool for us. When we go home and we tell our friends what we've seen here, they're going to think that we have, fallen to Earth from another planet.
Right.
I mean, it's really that innovative, and the technology that's here is that cool. So, I think we're going to see more and more people becoming aware of what is available. I mean, I think there's plenty of technology right now. I mean, if we said, okay, stop, no more technology, innovation's over, and we just deployed some of what's available right now, there's more than enough. So it's just the consumer outside of this bubble becoming aware that it's there, and once they're able to see what we see, I think the adoption rush, the herd is just going to. So, yeah.
Terrific. Well, you've referenced the fact that we're here in the Innovation Lab and you've taken a tour around.
Yeah.
Is there a particular product that you think is here that's going to really drastically change the way the average person consumes care?
Yes, absolutely, and they're right over there.
Yeah.
So Curely Health. The guys at Curely, I think, just me, they're probably the most disruptive group in here. And so a little bit about Curely Health. What that allows you to do is, okay, so you have a question, you want to talk to the doctor. Well, what's the first thing we normally do right now? Dr. Google, right? So we go Google it.
Right.
That's enough, and I go look at some stuff in Wiki and I really would like to talk to a doctor, a real doctor, and not just read things. Well, with Curely Health, they have participating credentialed providers from all over the world, right? And so let's say I've got a question that's about, prostate cancer. Let's just pick a topic. And so I'm like, oh wow, I've got some symptoms and I've got some history. I want to really learn more about this. I don't want to go see my doctor, or it's going to take 4 or 5 weeks to get a visit, but I would like to talk to a doctor and get some feedback from a real doctor on what's on here. So at Curely Health, I go in, I say, look, I'm going to pick this doctor in LA, I'm going to pick a doctor in New York, I'm going to pick a doctor in London. They have all of their credentials. It's almost like a mashup of Yelp and Lyft or Uber, if you will.
Okay.
Right, so it's community controlled and rated, 5-star kind of thing.
Right.
And the provider, the doctor says, here's my bio, here's me, here's what I look like, and here's where I went to school, and here's my ratings, and here's how I'm willing to communicate with you. And so they have these little icons that say, you can talk to me on the phone for this price, you can email me for this price, and I'll email you back within 24 hours. You can do a live chat. I'll text with you right now for 15 minutes for this amount of money. And so you're like, wow, I don't even have to have insurance. And for small amounts, for anywhere from $2 to $20, depending on the communication, they'll communicate with you. And so, wow, you're talking, when you read Eric Topol's book, The Patient Will See You Now, which is the book,
right.
That's really defining the adoption in this consumer piece where the patient is making the decision. So in Curely Health's model, I can really do a lot of shopping and find information that I want to get now from real doctors, not hearsay, and I can pick, specialists and providers who I wouldn't ever have access to otherwise, and I get it now. And I'm an informed consumer, right? Super informed.
Right.
And that's a huge shift and a huge disruption in the way that healthcare is delivered and accessed. So I think they're my win.
All right, well, Nick, of course, we have to end with you telling us a little bit about your very famous pink socks.
Okay, well, I live in Portland, Oregon. I have a friend in Portland. She owns a sock company. She's awesome, and everybody that, I wear a kilt every day, and so when you wear a kilt, you have to wear fun socks. and I was at a conference, a year or so ago, and people kept coming up and saying, hey, where did you get these socks? And I kept telling, that what I just said, I have a friend. And so when I went to HIMSS this year, I said, look, I think I'm going to just pack my little backpack full of these socks, and every time somebody comes up and says, hey, where did you get those socks? I'll give them some. And it just kind of took off. And somewhere along the way at one of the conferences, American Telemed or WLSA or somewhere, somebody coined the phrase, disrupting healthcare from the ground up. So everybody that has these pink socks, hashtag pink socks on Twitter, are really, awesome innovators and forward thinkers that are disrupting healthcare from the ground up. So and you see the people walking around who have the socks, and you look on Twitter and go back in time and see, it's people that you wouldn't normally associate with walking around in pink socks, but you put that together and you say, wow, they really are stepping outside of the box and being forward thinking and thinking things a little different. So. Well, Nick, it's just fun.
Having followed you on Twitter for quite some time, I think that you've truly created a movement with your Pink Sock initiative, and I want to thank you so much for being here today with us at the Guidewell Insights Lounge. I think that up next we have Lucian England and his a few team from Radboud University.
Awesome.
So I thought you can stick around and watch our interviews. Terrific. Well, thank you for your time.
All right, thank you.
All right.
Okay.
All right.